So having done my college, I was just thinking about what to do for the rest of my life. So I did a bit of research and traveling and all. So I figured out uh, I figured out waste management or garbage is an area which I would work on for the rest of my life. Uh, for a few reasons. One of course the positive environmental and health impact. Second, in terms of I can say it's a futuristic business. I call it as a social business. And third, of course, the current relevance in terms of urbanization, consumerism, population growth. All these aggravates the waste generations and its mismanagement and all those disposal will be a great uh, crisis in the coming decade as a developing country. So all these factors put together, and of course there is one more very serious factor which still uh, there is no indignity, there is no dignity attached to this job. This is not a white collar job. So however, whatever you say, people would say you kabadi wala or waste collector, kachra wala. So a lot of even so-called professionals are not willing to work in this sector. However, so I, as a person, come from a very humble background, do not have any such kind of stigma attached to this or something like that. So I didn't mind dirtying my hands for something noble. So that's how I choose the waste as my area of work for the last 6 years. And something I so I started my journey. So I started my journey as a waste collector. So we used to go around along with few female members. We used to go around houses and collect this garbage. It's in 2014 in Coimbatore city. So that's when I first encountered the sanitary napkins. I never knew there was something like that. So so I just wanted to I get an idea from the scratch on the grounds. How does the system all works? So, so as that waste collector, that a job which I started with, where I used to get around 150 per day. So that helped me to understand the business and develop the business. Coming up with something interesting later part of my life. So Green Worms is the name of my organization. So what we does actually is something maybe something. While comparing other organizations, we mostly work in semi-urban and rural areas, or maybe some remote areas, and not in metro cities. So it's something something which we are really focused. That's our key focus area, not in the metro cities. Of course, there are some reasons behind it. Of course, these are the areas where waste gets uncollected or there is no system in place. So, though of course, the waste is a major issue in the cities. The second thing is we have a good focus in terms of livelihood generation, along with waste management problems. We are also solving the livelihood generation things. So we always wanted to focus on low-income families and how to empower their life as well. So we are a sustainable waste management organization. We help businesses as well as municipalities, village panchayats, to manage the waste on a responsible and eco-friendly way. So, so we have a couple of products in terms of so one in terms of, as I said before, village panchayats. Village panchayats and municipalities, small municipalities are roughly around 10,000 households, 12,000 households, and all. So we don't do, actually the business model is here. We don't do the collection by ourselves. We rather train a group of people over there, and we don't do any in terms of segregation or second aspects as well. Again, we outsource this. We create a group of collection people. We create another group of the secondary segregation, other packaging peoples, and also we don't do recycling as well. We always outsource the recycling or end disposal to a third party. So we are as more of a bridge between this all these people and actually facilitate the whole activity. So along with these village panchayats and municipalities, we also work with some businesses and industries where we help them to dispose their waste. So regarding the waste, maybe something maybe most of you are working in sustainability space. Something maybe I just want to emphasize something. there are two kinds of one is scrap and other one is waste. So koi bhi, whatever the materials, which a kabadi wala or a scrap collector comes your homes and pays you some penny like a newspaper, notebooks or some metal or cartons and all, which we call it is scrap, not a waste. And whatever the waste, you give it to the municipality people, the so-called sachets or napkin or diapers or broken glasses, footwear or clothes, those things, which we call it is waste. So as an organization, we only manage the low value, the waste material. We are not into scrap material. So we clearly distinguish. We don't pay any customers, especially we're collecting from households or businesses. We don't pay the customers, and we only manage those material which gets uncollected, which would otherwise have gone to landfill or ocean. Those kinds of negative value materials which nobody gets collected. So that we are not into, we are not disrupting any existing value chain in terms of informal value chains. Anything. We only collect those materials which gets uncollected. So our business model is around. So as I said, so we have a couple of ways. So we have created a lot of entrepreneurs networks in terms of collection, segregation, packing, and of course recyclers are pretty big. A lot of people outside Kerala and all. So we are tied up with them and send it to them. So what are the things we provide? We have an SOP, standard operating procedures, for how to collect the waste in terms of how many houses needs to be covered per day, and what type of waste needs to be collected on a monthly basis, and what should be the storage of a space. So we have a certain system in place where, so we do the trainings, and also we help in terms of infrastructure developments. We lease out the equipments, we share the spaces for entrepreneurs, small entrepreneurs, and of course at some entrepreneurs we provide working capitals, and in return we buy back all their recyclables and non-recyclable materials, and actually aggregate those material, and further sold to a end user or recycler who is, maybe who consumes a large quantity of materials. So each transactions, as an organization, we get a small revenue. So usually we get between 10 to 15% of a cut from each entrepreneur, each transaction. So that's a model we do. And along with this, I will be sharing one, especially what's the specific model in detail, one model in detail. So other than that, we are also into maybe something interesting. I will do. We are collecting pharmaceutical waste. So pharmaceutical waste, actually around 55% of this pharmaceutical waste actually expired pharma. So it's actually packaging, the plastic packaging. So we are actually, so what happens? We collect these materials, and
ಇಲ್ಲ ಏನು ನಮ್ದು ಸಸ್ಟೈನಬಿಲಿಟಿ ಮಾಫಿಯಾ.
we collect these materials, and we segregate into supplementary medicines and non-supplementary medicines, as that is, and we just remove the packaging. So while just removing the plastics and aluminum packaging, that itself, otherwise it's actually goes for burning or incineration. So just removing the packaging itself will, save a 55% of the volume. So that 55% can be recovered. In the similar way, we are also managing a lot of expert food products in terms of FMCG food products as well. So I'll be not sharing those part of it, but that's around 10-20% of our business. So one project in terms of what is that livelihood generations model, which we work with SHG groups, self-help group, women in the rural part of the country. So that's something I wanted to discuss in detail here. So here is a one case study. Actually, here is a one case study. So what happens before our interventions? It's a small municipality. It's around 9,100 households. So they generate 15 tons also. So we are also managing, especially in a Kerala or wherever the part of 90% of the business is around this is what there is a place, we are collecting only non-biodegradable waste as per the municipality. Also, they are emphasizing the households to manage their wet waste by themselves, because they have a lot of backyards and all. It's mostly semi-urban rural areas. So it's a small place, and so we charge, we train these, each households will be charged 30 rupees per month. So that's we call user fee per month. So what happens, so this specific place, these people used to collect this material, self-help group women used to collect these materials, but they were struggling to dispose the material. So they were paying off money to dispose this kind of low value materials. their only revenue was only this user fee, which is 2.15 lakhs rupees. And so on average, there are 35 women in this village, and an average woman used to earn 3,000 rupees, 2,000, 3,000 rupees per month. And they will have only 10 days of work in a month as well. That was the, that was the situations before our interventions. So what happens before, just focus on the data. So what happens after our interventions, we were able to generate, because whatever those materials, so average they were able to get due to our trainings and in process systems, they were able to derive 10 rupees per kg value for all those materials. So that single itself, as well as a non-recyclable materials. So since we have some plastics waste offsetting projects with some brand owners and all, both national as well as international markets. So we were able to pay some nominal amount for that too. So that altogether, that simply changed, their monthly, their working days has increased to 20 to 22 days per month, as well as their revenue has increased rupees 3,000 to 7,000 rupees. So this is a, this is one of the case studies which, I wanted to showcase here. And we have 12 such projects, especially the women help groups, self-help group women. We have such 12 such projects are going on currently now. So our target is 50 such groups um, towards end of this year. Uh, so we do have, along with women, we do have some male entrepreneurs. Male entrepreneurs, specifically those people who has been working in this sector, but especially in the informal sector. So what these people are for women people. For male entrepreneurs, we have a model in terms of smaller cities in Calicut and Cochin. So we work with commercial establishments and industries and all. So we usually do we get the business, as well as we outsource the train, this in terms of both the collection and segregation to all these male entrepreneurs. So it's the whole idea is in the similar way. We get a from the revenue, especially from the whatever the amount we charge from the revenue, we get a 15% cut from these entrepreneurs. So we have in Calicut, so we have such three entrepreneurs. Especially this is only to not to municipalities and village panchayats, only to caters to commercial establishments and industries. So in the here this space, we actually lease out the machines as well as spaces and all, in terms of the capacity and all. So on a monthly basis, whenever they give us the material, so because we buy back all the materials, whenever we give us the material, we reduce the small amounts, and in terms of giving, that's how we are actually keeping back these things. And so beyond Kerala, we have also tried a couple of models in terms of Telangana. We are trying something in terms of, because we realize that all these people, these what happens if they store some material, maybe it's a cartons, if they store some material for a while, if all these people, they wanted a cash flow, they want daily their bread and butter. So they just they just sell off the material in a very few days, maybe 5 days or 6 days, and or once there is a 500 600 ton, 500 600 kg of material. So if we give some working capital in terms of, so that they can, so if they sell the material, if it's a 2 tons or 3 tons, they get a better price in terms of 1 rupees 2 rupees per kg. So we are also providing working capital in, taking this material as a guarantee, as well as I said again, some kind of baling machines, and also that it saves their storage cost and transportation cost. So we are trying some of our models in other part of, not just in Kerala, and some other part of the especially Telangana and Andhra region as well. So I just wanted to share here too. So what we have been doing in the last 6 years, during the last 6 years, we were able to create the 320 plus, dignified jobs. And so we have 12 entrepreneurs in terms of entrepreneurs groups work with us. So last year itself, we have managed 9,000 tons of materials last year itself. So as an organization, so we have been able to grow, 100% for the last 3 years. And as an organization, we have been profitable in terms of last 2 years, and we also closely work with village panchayats and municipalities, just not on isolations. So we make sure that whatever the infrastructure in terms of space, constructed space and all, we are able to utilize in terms of vehicles and all as per their part. I'll just share maybe I will share later. So in terms of so our vision is in terms of this year itself we are thinking of creating 800 to 1,000 jobs. So by 2030 we wanted to create 10,000 employment opportunities. And so in terms of we have also recently started a programs in as I said, Lakshadweep, there is no recycling for the Lakshadweep. Government generates around, it's a 10 islands, it's a group of 10 islands. So generates around 85 to 90 tons of materials per year. So in terms of transportation, collecting from various islands and shipping to mail island, it's a pretty big issue. So we happened to visit there and we signed the contracts with the district, the Lakshadweep administrations. And we started the first consignments of materials from there. So our whole idea is that we are not into, we don't want to get into a space where a lot of players are there. We mostly reach out to those places which very few people or has reached, or which nobody has reached so far. And yeah, of course we want to build a business of in terms of doing these things and scaling this up to want to build 100 crore business. And so yeah, of course, yeah, because we are a very lightweight investment options. We don't want really, these are very simple things which we do. We don't use any sophisticated machines so far, and we don't have really highly capable talents. We don't need as of now. So so it's very lightweight investment model. So if we get such kind of fundings, of course, we'll be able to do a really huge volumes in a short span of time. And I will be sharing a video. How does that look like in terms of our activity, in terms of, so that you get an idea how does our self-help group event. Just a moment. Okay. Can you see me, Ganesh?
Yeah.
We can see the screen. We can hear
Yeah,
as well.
the video is coming.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So just maybe a few points I just want to highlight before moving on. Maybe something I want to leave with you people who are in this working this sustainable space. Few takeaways which I say, because waste management, along with the social and environmental issue, especially the environmental issue, it has a huge livelihood generation potentials too. Because as I said, managing 15,000 kg of materials can generate employments for 35 women, and they will be able to earn a livelihood of around, they will be able to earn a monthly income of 7,000 rupees per month. So that's a kind of all these manual processes I'm talking about, smaller projects. Second things, you don't need any you don't need to be a you don't need heavy investments, or you don't need any sophisticated machines to manage these problems, because as a country we have a good networks of formal and informal recyclers and end users and all. The whole idea is that certain systems and processes needs to be in place. It's something which I realized. The third thing is even the low value materials which we usually see, on the streets or roads, or which, the kabadi walas don't connect. The low value materials, which, so-called negative value material, does have some inherent potentials of economic value. So, so that can actually creates a really good economy behind it. And the fourth things that you can actually a lot of, because I work in a lot of spaces in terms of, so nobody wanted to come into this sector because of the indignities attached to this, because, whoever working this space, they never wanted, they are not coming as, in terms of by choice. They're coming out of, desperate need of, their family backgrounds. So of course, as my experience, you can actually create some, dignified and, dignified employment opportunity sector, so that though that they themselves can be proud about it. So that's some of the thoughts I just want to leave behind. Hope I made some sense, and I'm glad to open up some questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jabir. That was quite an inspiring talk. We will follow the same question pattern that we usually do in SUS Talks. Anyone has any questions, please put it up in the chat, and I'll call out your names and we can take it forward from there. Arjun, go ahead.
Hi, Jabir. Thanks. Really nice to look at your work here. I was curious about a couple of things, Jabir. Mostly about questions related to multiplying your impact. Okay, I think you're already doing so much good work in many different areas. But tell us a couple of things. If you, what do you spend your time on with regards to growth? Right? What is your main focus for growth? Is it customer, like, an introduction, or somebody you want to meet who will give you a big deal? Is it, getting the right person on your team? Is it getting financing? What is the main kind of growth angle for your company? That is one question. And another one would be, if there is, what would be the most helpful introduction that anybody in the sustainability mafia could make for you to help you grow your business? Right. These are my two questions. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Of course, yeah. That's something, Arjun, I have been also wanting in terms of course, a good team in terms of, as I said, we are mostly people who sits back in a tier 2 or tier 3 cities, especially in which not very experienced in terms of, building, or, it's mostly the people who, 99% is below 30 years of age. So of course, a team, a team and a team or supporting team, that would really help us, to understand the model more in details, and how to plan the scale up thing. And so that in terms of scaling, we are also, as you said, of course, the customer is one factor. And also we are also working on, how can we retain some of these models as well after a point of time. So of course, yeah, we are looking for more partnerships and collaboration in terms of, for examples, we are planning to give some pension plans and some health insurance plans, and we are trying to tie with some microfinance, microcredits institutions in terms of, what are the, just rather than just the business transaction, what are the other benefits which we can hand over to this self-help group women, so that the more people will come into sector, and the whoever has already joined, so they keep, their, in terms of the retention will be good. So those are some of the plans, and we are also in the discussion with there are some social impact investment organization in terms of they have come, they invest only in pro poor and pro women specifically. So there are some organization we are in conversation with. So yeah, of course, people, we see a technology part, and some collaborations would really help us. In terms of market, of course, that's not a big problem getting people on board if we have really a solid plan in place in terms of. So right now we don't want to take up a lot of projects. That's how we just slowed it down. Our plan is 50 such groups in this year. Yeah, in terms of maybe how can maybe SUS Mafia in terms of help us. how can we, as you said, now how can we scale this into a next level things, and in terms of maybe a mentoring support, or maybe business planning, or those kinds of stuff, which we are doing with our own limited resources. I don't know. Yeah.
Very interesting. Yeah, thank you. That is something for Ganesh and myself and Anirudh to think about how we can enable that for you. Thanks for sharing that. Yeah.
Anish, do you want to go ahead with your question?
Yeah, hi, sure. Amazing the work you're doing, man. Really inspiring. Quick question, like when it comes to a dignified job, how do you define it when it comes to like the income earned, the benefits, etc.? Like how do you define a dignified job?
Okay. The first, in terms of, I have realized in terms of how to, I suppose, maybe a woman is coming to your home to collect the waste. The first aspects, how do you as a person, the waste generator, and how do you perceive that specific women, or somebody who is taking just a kachra wala, and for somebody who is taking your dirt, or somebody, uh, your attitude, in your perception, she's also doing a noble job, and she's also doing something equally what we are doing up. So maybe some perception attitudes on something as the waste generator ends, which we work on. A second, in terms of this people's self perception, in terms of this, if you're talking about these women, these people are not, in terms of uniform, in terms of, a good attire can be, in terms of workspace, working conditions, giving some PPE, specifically gloves, mask, boots, and other those kinds of specific things. And so those are the few things which we have, which we have focused on. And also the people, it should be a sector. People should be attracted to it. As of now, what happens? People wanted to get out of this. Whoever has joined or whoever is doing, they just wanted to get out of it. So that's how maybe kind of changing the perception of these working groups, both from their inner self as well as from the outside. So that's how we look at that case. And maybe other aspects, maybe I recently I'm a so-called and formally educated guy. So a lot of people really thinks that, okay, this guy has, he is educated, and he has gone to Delhi University to study, and he started, he is also picking up garbage. So this I whole a good group, some professionals or white collar, something, the so-called educated comes to sector, they also feel pride about, whatever they are doing it. So those are the few things which, which we have tried, or which we are still trying, and we also want to work more on that.
Yeah, thanks. Just quick follow up on that. So I understand the self perception, right? Giving them a PPE and making them feel like it's a formalized job. But like, what about the perception of the consumers, right? Of the households? How do you measure that? How do you measure that? Okay, I've created a dignified job now.
Yeah, see, of course, that's a bit a difficult task, but maybe one measurable things we look at it. How do you give away the waste? Okay, suppose we give them, suppose sanitary napkin and diapers needs to be segregated, and they need to be wrapped in separately. So so that's a of course, in terms of quality of segregation, and something we actually usually measure. How do, because that's something, what kind of, because we usually measure people in terms of how do you treat, what kind of waste which is coming out of your, because we also tell, suppose if you are buying, suppose some kind of a parcel cover, or you need to just rinse the with water and throw it. So that's a one measurable things which we do. Second thing, as I said, we charge 30 rupees, 50 rupees, some nominal fee from them. So our experience, 65% is only people, even if it's a 30 rupees per month, people are not willing to pay for that. So that's another measurable things which we do, because they also think that it's we need to support this community and all. So those are the two factors we specifically look at it.
Awesome, makes sense. Thank you, man. All the best.
Jabir, Anish, can I just come in for 1 second? This is Indrajit here. Anusha, with your permission.
Yeah, sure.
Hi. So Anish, see, I have done some work in waste, and Jabir and I, we have also talked also. See, the thing about perception of households is it requires a very long engagement. Okay. Unless you're able to engage with them on a very extended basis, on a daily basis, creating that perception is very difficult, because typically as citizens we have very small attention span. Okay, so based on the on ground experience that I have seen, and Jabir, this is also an input for you, if there is a way to work with local NGOs who can engage with you to create that awareness in every single household which is giving away that waste, daily basis, reinforcing that information, that is when that sense of dignity is created in people's minds. When you reinforce the concept that if I'm giving away something, it is almost like giving away a flower to a puja. Okay, it is not a trash that I'm giving away to somebody who I'm treating as trash. Okay, so just wanted to bring in that perspective that if you want to change perception, you have to have that information, communication, and education in a consistent, without any gap manner to create that perception that this is dignified. And it is possible to do. I actually did a study with Indore where they had been able to achieve this. So practically it is possible, but definitely a very arduous task. Just my 2 cents.
Thank you.
Thank you. Radhika, do you want to go ahead with your question?
Hang on. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, no, so I guess no, my question is just, and I may have missed the beginning part of the talk, but how many cities are you kind of having this model currently? And, I guess, what is your plan to, I guess, how do you want to scale up? I think that you answered, but I'm more interested in what you're doing currently. How many cities are you having this?
Okay. See, as of now, most of this work is around in Kerala, but we are trying some models in Tamil Nadu, Andhra, and Telangana region as well. So we do have some presence in all the southern Indian states, including Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, and all those places. But we were mostly procuring these collected materials, just a business transactions. So Kerala, what happened? Something it's very unique from other than the so here the so-called SHG groups are self-help group women's are more organized and formalized rather than when comparing the other states. So and also governments also in terms of support, we see in terms of developing these communities we see a good support in terms of. So future, of course, we wanted to because we see there is a more need rather than in Kerala. It's a more need in terms of income and all. As I said, in Kerala, 7,000 rupees per month. It's a pretty, it's a decent amount. While other states, people are earning much below that, 4,000, 3,500 and all. So the need for such community empowerment is really high. So we'll be focusing mostly in all the southern Indian, semi-urban and small towns and villages. So that's a plan going forward. So 50 we have set targets for this year. So we have reached 12 as of now. 10 women and 2 others. So that's a plan.
That's great, and it's a good thing you're looking at the peri-urban kind of areas, which is those areas probably need it more than others. I think that's it's great work.
Thank you.
Yeah, Anusha.
Manjunath, yeah.
Hi, Jabir. Congratulations. Especially waste is one thing. Everywhere, even Kerala, even though it's very sustainable, states, but still it generates a lot of waste. I lived in Kerala for some time, so I know the labor problems there, because most of the literacy is very high, and there comes your labor problems also. MRF has to shift company manufacturing out of Kerala. I think it's a long time back. So as many other companies. So how difficult is it to manage the labor people? I know it's very state specific, and starting in entrepreneurship there in Kerala itself is difficult, isn't it? So how do you manage that thing? And yeah.
See, that's still happening. That is still happening every day. That's a problem we need to face with trade unions and So the cost of what happens, so we always, that cost comes to the waste generator or consumer. We always say, because that's a cost we always consider. You will not believe, last day we have received a truck from, we have received a container from Lakshadweep, and only just a truck, loading the truck, they charge 20,000 rupees, only just loading the truck. So that's much more than the whole value chain, shipping from, Lakshadweep to the mainland, and all the barge costs and all those costs is, if you do the per kg analysis, that's around 4,000 kg or something. So for me, the unit cost only for a loading, that is too, they don't load it properly. So that's a big issue in terms of, this is, Kerala is not at all a business friendly state, because last last week, we ranked out of 28 out of 29 states in terms of ease of doing business. So that's always a challenge, and whoever the entrepreneur, especially the industry, whoever is involved in the industries and operations, it's a pretty big issue. The government is trying a lot of things, but on the ground, everything is on paper. So it's a reality we all need to face. So yeah, it's going good.
Yeah. And having literacy of 100% is also sometimes counterproductive, isn't it? Everybody wants a white collar job and a lot of things. And also, in terms of, Bangalore is also one of the problems of waste also. Like, it creates a lot of waste, and the corporation is not able to, do that. And do you have any plans to come to Bangalore, Karnataka?
We are working in Mysore region and Kamaraj Nagar, all those regions, not into Bangalore. So we did procure some non-recyclable plastics, and as I said, we do have some customers who is into plastics offsetting, plastic waste offsetting projects. And so we are not interested in metro cities. We'll be mostly working in smaller towns and village areas. So Mysore and this Kamaraj Nagar, those are the areas we are currently working on.
Yeah, thank you. At some point of time, Smart Sustain wants to profile your venture also. Thank you.
Thank you.
Indrajit?
Hey, thanks, Anusha. Hey, hi, Jabir. See, actually, this was related to the previous statement I made. You mentioned, people is a focus. So are there any plans for you to, or are you already probably doing it, tying up with NGOs or other civil body organizations to see how you can bring in that mindset change? Is there some work that you're doing, especially relevant because of what Manjunath mentioned, and you also mentioned on the perception issue that managing waste should be done by people below a certain economic level or a certain education level. So is there any thinking along those lines? And do you think it in some way benefits your business model? Because as a startup, you only have so much resources, right? So that was a question.
Which is one of our key immediate focus is on how do we generate more income for these women. Okay, that's our one of the key immediate focus, because what I realized that a lot of women comes to me, all those in terms of their family backgrounds and all, they come, will do any kind of work, any kind of dirty work, but pay as well. Okay, that's a maybe so that's, we are working on how can we derive more value from the waste materials, how we can, in terms of 60% people are participating in, so how can we increase into 90% of those things. So of course a better revenue for all those people, that's a one of immediate focus, because that is second thing only, how we can retain them, or as the things. And awareness programs in terms of we don't engage local NGOs in terms of Kerala. We usually work with the municipalities very closely, because they give certain data to these ward councillors, so and so household has given us that kind of a waste, and so also household do not cooperated with us. So we started marking, red wards, green wards, yellow wards. So those kinds of, some datas, we started integrating some mobile application in terms of collection, some technology platform for collection and all. So the whole, so So that's a kind of, not into any NGOs and all, but we are engaging the local, municipality and, ward members, all those people, to solve, especially the segregation is one of our key challenge, and the unwillingness to pay the user fee. These are the two things which we have, worked on.
In fact, a follow-up question and observation is, you talked about getting more value out of waste, right? So if you are able to engage the households to influence them to segregate at source, that automatically reduces your downstream effort for segregation. So in addition to the social impact that we discussed so far, there is also a business impact, because you are moving the segregation upstream into the value chain. If it's segregated at the household level, then you are getting much better quality waste, and therefore the ability to generate value out of each of the fractions automatically increases. So, just a food for thought.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for the input.
Ganesha?
Wonderful, Jabir. I mean, absolutely mind-blowing, because I saw your WhatsApp status also, be the change you want to see, and I could see that in you. So amazing. So, but see, I mean, from the Sustaining Mafia, we want to help you in all possible ways, right? I mean, so I just wanted to understand if we were to, because we have discussion on regular basis with various corporates in our own this one. How could CSR funds be helpful to you, and do you have an instrument to utilize CSR funds? And if you can state this, so when we pitch to people, it will be very easy for us to tell how big your funds can get into your thing.
Yeah, Ganesh, I will tell you how does this a simple things, maybe a baling or a compacting machine, which costs 3.5 lakhs, will directly add value to ₹3 per kg. So if they are earning water bottle, if they are selling, if we are buying from them water bottle for 15 rupees per kg, if they bale and if they use this machine and give it to us, baled material, we will be able to give them ₹18. So a simple machines will, add value for 3 rupees per kg. That's a one aspect. Another, maybe a conveyor belt, maybe a moving conveyor belt, which costs around 2.5 lakhs. And because if you do it manually, a woman will be able to do 50-60 kg per day. It's for 8 hours of, work, because it's a lightweight material. So, but if you use that conveyor belt, there's, that can, a person's ability, because they need to specify sort only one kind of type of material. That will, increase their, per day per person output into 100 kg, 120 kg and all. So third things, as I said, if they store some material for a while, like if they can store the material for a week or a 2 weeks time, they will fetch a better price, because a larger volumes will always fetch them a better price. So a working capital will help them to, to increase their revenue. So these are some of the three things, which we have identified, so that it will directly have a, impact on the, revenue generations. So we are also, as I said, now we are trying to leasing it out to machines, and we are working with some organizations in terms of, so whoever can provide these things, maybe a working capital. Some places, I would tell you, some places they are hiring, these women groups are hiring the vehicles. So they are paying around 25,000 rupees per month only to hire the vehicle. So maybe a vehicle loan call, maybe a vehicle loan option, and that can actually, will help them at least 6,000 to 7,000 rupees per month. It will save them. So the one direct impact in this case, since we are also working, because they are giving us the material. So every day there is an assured transaction between us. So there is the recovery, how to recover those money from them. That's not a big deal. So of course, maybe this kind of somebody can give us machines to machine, those kinds of support too, that will directly impact to their monthly income.
So this is great. So if you could also share a concept or some kind of a note to us on what you just now said, with some figures in terms of impact, we would like to pass it on. And if you can directly you can be a direct beneficiary of the CSR amount, you can let us know. Or if you think Sustaining Mafia can act as a bridge, do let us know. we will do whatever is possible. In our own group, we have Mr. Shrihari Balakrishnan. We were just talking to him yesterday, and he was saying some of the CSR funds have not been utilized. They're just lying unutilized. So please do get in touch with him. I've marked him in this one as well. I just shared a chat in this thing. And there's also Millie from DIGO and Shruti from Cisco. Please do get in touch with them. Meanwhile, share us this note to us on how your work could be a right CSR initiative for this corporate. We will pass it on every time we speak to any corporate, any of these meetings. Okay.
Thank you, Ganesh. Thank you.
Thanks, Jabir. Yeah.
Any more questions? Okay, I guess we're good to go then. Thank you so much, Jabir, for your extremely inspiring talk and for taking out your time with us today. Thank you everyone for joining us in today. And yeah, have a great weekend.
Thank you, Anusha.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Anusha.
much. Thanks,
Thanks, Rajesh.
Anusha. Thanks, Jabir.
Great job.
Thanks all of you.